Hey, football fans, ready to add some extra excitement to your game day? Dive into Chumba Casino, where the thrill of the game greets you every day and the action never stops. It's completely free to play, no purchase necessary. Whether you're tailgating, cheering from your couch, or on the go, Chumba Casino brings the excitement right to your fingertips. Play anytime, anywhere, with hundreds of casino-style games, including thrilling social casino slots and classic blackjack, and new games released every week. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Plus, take advantage of generous free daily login bonuses and a fantastic free welcome bonus to kickstart your fun. Chumba Casino is your ultimate playbook for nonstop entertainment. Make every day a Chumba day and join the action now and play for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. With Chumba Casino, the fun never ends. What are you waiting for? Dive into the action today with Chumba Casino and make your game day unforgettable. Join us at ChumbaCasino.com today. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. T&Cs apply.
Hey, music fans. There are some great concerts headed this way. Don't miss out on all these shows in Atlanta. Gospel at Atlanta Symphony Hall. Zach Brown Band at State Farm Arena. And Zach Brown Band at State Farm Arena. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Head to LiveNation.com to get your tickets now. That's LiveNation.com.
We stood there with the Israeli flag and the American flag proudly.
Exceptional youth who embody the heart and soul of this country.
My main goal is to honor veterans every day.
Allison has autism and epilepsy.
I was the first Miss USA organization title holder to compete with a service dog.
Competitors thought you had an extra advantage.
People didn't realize that I need my dog to survive, not to win.
I wanted to change the world with that stand.
You're now running an $11 million business. Well, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, these are all terms to describe the next generation. And we've also heard lazy, entitled, misguided. You get the idea. But these labels are not always accurate. So tonight, we're going to shine a light on young people with bright minds, great character, and exponential potential. These are some of the ones getting it right and giving hope for the future of our country. Thank God. My first guest, Brendan, is a student at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and one of several fraternity brothers who acted so bravely during recent campus protests that they made national headlines.
There were students and non-students that were camped out in the middle of the quad of our campus, calling for a ceasefire in Israel, holding up signs that protested the war, but also had a lot of anti-Semitic rhetoric written on it. I had brought an Israeli flag, and one of my fraternity brothers showed up, and I was like, "Do you want to hold this flag with me?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Had a lot of people come up to us, scream at us, tell us we don't belong there, that we should kill ourselves. We watched the protesters surround the American flag, take it down, and put the Palestinian flag up. And at that point in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? We were supposed to be united no matter what our beliefs are, under that flag, under American values. The chancellor came out with a police force and then put the American flag back up. They weren't able to raise it all the way up because the flagpole was broken. And that's when a lot of my fraternity members and other people that were there in our group moved towards the American flag and held it up and represented our beliefs. We showed that our Jewish values matter, but so do our American ones. And it was important to stay there as a group and hold it together no matter what was said. When you hold your values so close to you and they're part of your identity, it gives you the bravery or the confidence to be there. So I'm a proud American, and I love this country.
Well, you say you're a proud American, and America is proud of you, including me. Let me tell you something. Brendan says after October 7th attacks, students began chanting, "Hamas is us. We are Hamas." So it's like, we are terrorists, terrorists are us. How did that fit in your ear?
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, it was very hard to hear that on my campus, on a place where I'm supposed to feel safe, supposed to feel that I should be proud of my Jewish identity. And when you hear that, it's like that's the exact antithesis of everything I believe in. And it was hard that students were there supporting that. I mean, after that, I wear this bracelet. It used to say I stand with Israel. It obviously washed off, but after that, I realized how important it was to, stick to my beliefs and my identity and be proud of being a supporter of Israel.
Yeah, I'm shocked at things we're hearing on college campuses. And it's okay for me to sit here and be shocked. You were in the middle of it. And this all happened after 5 days of encampment on the university, right? I mean, it was right in the middle.
Yeah.
Brendan says that protesters took down the U.S. flag, and they did this repeatedly, right?
They tried to do it a second time. They did it the first time successfully, and that's when the chancellor went out and put it back up.
So the chancellor put it back up, and then what happened?
And then eventually they left because the flagpole was broken. And me and my fraternity brothers were like, okay, this can't happen. We can't let it touch the ground. We can't let them take the flag. And we stood there with the Israeli flag and the American flag proudly. It's what we believed in. It's part of who we are.
They were throwing stuff at you?
Yeah. My friend was hitting the head with a water bottle. I had multiple water bottles thrown at me, full water bottles, not empty water bottles. I had water poured all over me. Someone took yogurt, poured it all over my flag. And it was a really tough situation.
It never even occurred to you to walk away and give in to the pressure?
No, I'd had enough. I think, my fraternity brothers for the past year have been hearing all of these things on campus without a voice on the other side. Whether you support or don't support the war, I support Israel. And a lot of the things that's being said is, Israel doesn't have the right to exist. They don't believe in, Zionism. If you're a Zionist, get off my campus. Resistance is not terrorism. And those things are scary to hear as a Jewish student. And that day, we weren't just there to support Israel. We were there to support the Jewish community that was still grieving October 7th, the community that has felt silence since October 7th, that they can't support what they believe in, and, the hostages that are still being held in Gaza. And that's important to all of us. And we were there that day, and nothing was going to stop us from representing that and our beliefs.
How do you think it's gotten so twisted? Because it started out, pro-Palestinian, and then pretty soon, even that thin veil is dropped, and then it just becomes pro-Hamas. Then it's death to Israel, death to America. It morphed really quickly, and I've heard things said on campus that I never thought I would hear in my lifetime. I thought never again would we hear things that you heard in the Hitler youth camps. It's just, it's astounding to me. They can't understand what they're talking about.
These are people that I actually agreed on a lot of things with, the social justice movement and everything that went on. And those same people are saying these things that scare me, scare a lot of Jewish people, and make us feel that, we can't speak up. And, it's very hard to hear and hard to comprehend because they believe that they're supporting something good, and that's what's scary about it. And to me, like, Hamas, no matter which way it's twisted, is not good and is, a threat to everyone.
I've talked to families who were members that were held hostage for like 50 plus days, then they were released, but their family members are still there and know the atrocities that are going on. I've talked about it. Conversations I've had about it have been picked up tens of millions of times across all media. They can't not know from me, from others discussing this. They have to know what they're supporting. And you felt like this isn't a political thing. This is just, we're on an American campus under an American flag. We should be unified as Americans.
Yeah, we should be, no matter what we believe in. I'm a Jewish American. Jewish is a huge part of my identity, but so is America. And no matter what I say, we're going to be under that flag, and it should be together. And unfortunately, that day, we, as a student body and as a people, we weren't united under that flag. And I think, and I hope that people look at this situation and realize, no matter what our beliefs are, no matter what our identities are, we live in this country and we have to find a way to move forward. We have to find a way to have open dialogue and find a solution together, not apart.
I interviewed the prime minister in Israel, and he said, you hear them say from the river to the sea, and pointed out, here's the river, there's the sea, everything in between is what they want to wipe off the face of the earth. That's Israel.
Yeah.
Do you think they understand what they're saying?
I don't know. I think some of them do. I think a lot of them, again, think that they're supporting a good cause. And, a lot of the people that support this cause have supported other good movements. And so they trust them, even though that they might not be as educated or know as much about this movement as they did as others. And it's scary, Israel is supposed to be a safe place, for everyone, for Jews. And when they say they don't want that and they want all of the Jewish people gone and in their own land, what am I supposed to feel as a Jewish student on campus? How am I supposed to feel welcome?
Exactly. Well, coming up, more than $500,000 has been donated in support of the patriotic fraternity brothers. A special message from a country superstar next.
Hey, music fans, there are some great concerts headed this way. Don't miss out on all these shows in Atlanta. Gospel at Atlanta Symphony Hall. Zach Brown Band at State Farm Arena. And Zach Brown Band at State Farm Arena. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Head to LiveNation.com to get your tickets now. That's LiveNation.com.
The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Mima and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta Holiday Market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.
We're talking to some of America's exceptional youth who embody the heart and soul of this country. Now, Brendan, along with several fraternity brothers, proudly defended the American flag when Hamas sympathizers, I can't even believe I'm saying that, Hamas sympathizers tried to take it down on his college campus. A GoFundMe was started to reward them and raised more than $500,000. Was that a surprise?
Yeah, it was a surprise, considering we started out that day with 3 people, on that quad against, 500 people that, didn't support what we believed in. It's amazing, and I can't thank everyone who donated enough for it. It means a lot to all of us.
And what are you going to do with the money?
It's not really up to us. We don't have control. I think they're trying to throw a party. We hope that money can be used to, go to what we believe in.
Yeah.
And so.
The group's efforts to hoist the American flag caught the attention of country superstar John Rich.
Hello, Dr. Phil. When I saw the pictures of the young men from UNC holding up the American flag when protesters were attempting to tear it down, I was so struck by that image. It's easy to paint with a broad brush and say patriotism is lost. It's not true. And these young men proved that. So I was so moved by what they did. I said, love to have you a free concert. I'll show up and play. And that turned into a huge tidal wave of support. Lee Greenwood, Big and Rich, Gretchen Wilson, Aaron Lewis, and a bunch of others started calling and said, we'd all like to be a part of that. So we are going to celebrate these boys September the 2nd on Labor Day. We're calling it Flagstock. How about that? It's going to be a good time celebrating their patriotism, their courage. I could not be more proud of these young men.
So John Rich is going to throw you a party, but it's going to be for free, so it doesn't take up any of the money.
Perfect.
All right, there you go. Now, my next guest, Preston, is only 18 and so proud of America and our service members that he has traveled all across the country and even to Europe, placing, get this, 600,000 flags on fallen soldiers' graves.
On Veterans Day of 2015, I went out to my grandfather's gravesite to honor him. Once I placed the flag, I started walking throughout the cemetery, realizing that none of the other veterans were being honored. I kept on complaining, and my mom told me, Preston, if you're complaining about something, you have to do something about it. I've honored veterans in all 50 states and 5 countries so far. On Memorial Day 2024, I went over to Normandy, France, and I honored 17,000 veterans with a flag and red carnation, said their name out loud, and thanked every single one of them for their service. It's so hard to explain how real it felt being there, because you see movies or you read a book, nothing can compare to what it actually feels like to be there.
Merle, thank you so much for your service.
I plan on doing this my entire life. I won't stop until I can't bend down anymore.
You went to the cemetery and you saw something you just didn't like.
It was on Veterans Day. It was like right after school. My mom took me to go there. And when I started walking around the cemetery, I realized that none of the other veterans were honored like I was able to do for my grandfather. And something inside of me, I don't know, 10-year-old Preston, I don't know what happened, but it made me really frustrated, really mad that our veterans are there laid to rest. They risked their lives and gave their lives for us, and they weren't being honored. So I went home. I was running around the house trying to ask what chores I could do to make money to go out to the store and buy more flags to honor veterans, and it just kept on going from there.
That is so great. Now, you also do something that I think is really special and really important, and it has to do with their names. What do you do about that?
Yeah, whenever I place a flag and a red carnation on a veteran's gravesite, I make sure to say the veteran's name out loud and then thank you for your service. And the main reason I do that is so the veteran isn't forgotten. It's like something I got taught in the very beginning of this. If you say a veteran's name out loud, that veteran won't be forgotten. And I always want to make sure that we remember every veteran that has served us.
We just saw the gravestone there of James W. Gibson, and it may have been 50 years, 75 years, but you say their name out loud, and it means they're not an environmental non-event. They're now an event. Something has occurred in the world, and that's important to you.
Yeah, because it's not hard to honor veterans. Anyone can do it, and I think that my main goal is to honor veterans every day and not just on holidays.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get more people to realize that.
Yeah, wow. That's great. Don't you think these are 2 great examples of young men? Man, I'll tell you what. All right. Coming up, from 2 bee stings to an 8-figure business, how a teenager has blossomed into a young mogul and is inspiring others every step of the way. We'll talk about that after the break.
Hi, Dr. Phil. My name is Tiffany Gay. I'm a 17-year-old high school student. From a young age, I've been incredibly passionate about science and technology, especially as it's being used to make a difference in our world. I've been inventing for as long as I can remember, developing lots of projects along the way. Upon recognizing one of my family members had a degenerative vision disorder, I recognized the need for an adaptive technology that would help those with visual impairments navigate and understand their environments. I developed a system that uses LiDAR sensors to topographically map an environment and send signals to a visually impaired user in the form of vibrations. My work has shown that our generation has incredible potential to shape the global sphere. Through innovation and advocacy, we're making strides to create a world that is better for us all.
Well, from innovation to inspiration, now, my guests tonight are some amazing young minds. Now, Michaela was just 4 years old when she turned lemons into lemonade. After a sore encounter with bees, she turned their stings into sweet success.
Me and the Bees is a story of how I turned lemons in the form of bee stings into a national lemonade company with the mission of saving the bees. I started Me and the Bees Lemonade at 4.5 years old in Austin, Texas, as a lemonade stand. And it was inspired by my great-granny Helen's 1940s cookbook, which had her favorite recipe for flaxseed lemonade, and learning about how important bees are to our environment after being stung twice at 4.5 years old. I was realizing that the bees needed my help, and I wanted to start a lemonade stand to help save them. I started in front of my house. I would sell at local events and fairs. After each stand, I donated a portion to organizations Saving the Bees. I also started teaching workshops. After doing one at a local pizza shop, the owner said, hey, if you can find a way to bottle your product, we'll carry it in our store. That's when the light bulb went off that the more bottles of lemonade I could sell, the more bees I could save. Before we knew it, we were walking through the mahogany doors of Shark Tank, and I was pitching in front of 5 sharks that could take my brand to the next level. We took Me and the Bees from being a product that I sold out of the lemonade stand into a product that's now found on over 6,500 shelves across the United States, with the mission of buy a bottle, save the bee. Being recognized as one of Time's 30 most influential teens reminded me that what I was doing mattered. Having a successful business venture at 19 reminds me that I can do whatever I set my mind to, but I hope that the story of Me and the Bees can teach and inspire the next generation.
Well, Michaela is 19 and started business when she was 4. And this was after getting stung twice, right?
Yes, I got stung on my ear and I got stung on my neck. They were both not so fun experiences, but I turned something, pretty great out of it.
Yeah, I will say you're now running an $11 million business.
It's grown to a scale that I couldn't imagine. We went from selling, a couple, 100 or so cups of lemonade out of my stand, and now we're approaching 10 million bottles sold. We are making an impact on saving the bees. It's in all 50 states of the United States, so I cannot believe the journey that it's taken me on.
Yeah, well, I just had the lemonade in my office. It's
some?
good stuff.
Oh my goodness.
I'm serious, it's
Thank
good.
you.
It's good stuff. I'm a fan. Now, you actually did your homework and found out that honeybees are one of the most important pollinators that we have for fruits, vegetables, and crops.
They're incredibly important. So when I first started, I was shocked to find out that a third out of all the food that we eat is pollinated by the bees. So around 85% of the crops grown in America. And it's not just fruits and vegetables, it was all of the foods that we eat, from the milk, which is like cheese, milk. Milk is made by cows. Cows eat a plant called alfalfa, and bees pollinate that plant called alfalfa. So I was finding out that there's links to bee pollination all throughout our diet, but they were dying at an alarming rate due to increased pesticide use, loss of habitat, and so many other factors. And I wanted to do what I could to save them. So I decided, like any kid would, I wanted to start a lemonade stand, and I wanted to change the world with that stand.
Yeah, I had a lemonade stand once. I just drank the lemonade. Nobody came by. I didn't get a business out of the deal.
You had to dress up in a bee suit. My parents dressed me up in a bee suit. I think that was it.
I didn't have the bee suit. I knew there was something missing. And you say dream like a kid, but think like a CEO.
I do. That's my catchphrase, because I feel like kids are the biggest dreamers in the world. We dream of things that don't exist yet. Yeah. And when it comes to acting those dreams out or actually doing it, you have to act like a CEO. You have to prioritize, you have to manage your time, you have to be strategic with partnerships, and so you have to know your numbers. So dream like a kid, act like a CEO, and anything's possible.
Yeah, I'm feeling a whole lot better about our future.
Me too.
Everybody in the audience is going home with a bottle of Michaela's Me and the Bees lemonade. And trust me when I tell you firsthand, you are going to love it, because it's lemonade that's sweetened with honey from the bees, right?
Yep, sweetened with honey, it has flaxseed, and our motto is buy a bottle, save the bee, so it's going towards a good cause, and it's a family-run business.
Yeah, so buy a bottle, save the bees. Come on. All right, coming up, Miss Dallas Teen, who holds a special title with the Miss USA organization. We're going to find out why next.
Hey, music fans, there are some great concerts headed this way. Don't miss out on all these shows in Atlanta. Zac Brown Band at State Farm Arena. Zac Brown Band at State Farm Arena. And Gospel at Atlanta Symphony Hall. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Head to LiveNation.com to get your tickets now. That's LiveNation.com.
My next exceptional young guest is breaking barriers on beauty standards. Now, Allison has autism and epilepsy, and when a stranger doubted her potential, she made it a point to prove them wrong.
I was the first Miss USA organization title holder to compete with a service dog. My pageant journey started kind of out of an act of spite. A stranger felt the need to tell me that disabled people can't be pageant girls. So I decided to compete, and I had no experience with pageants whatsoever. It was 2 weeks before the pageant, and I didn't expect to win. I just wanted to prove to that woman that I could do it while having a disability. So it was kind of shocking when I did win. I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 16. Brady is my seizure alert dog. Competing with a service dog is very out of the ordinary. It's never been done before in the Miss USA system. At first was pretty embarrassed. It was kind of all eyes on me. It actually ended up being the best thing ever. It broke a lot of barriers in the pageant world. After winning the pageant, I came to the realization that a lot of people don't understand seizures and epilepsy, and I really wanted to make a difference. So I got with the Epilepsy Foundation and started giving speeches. I also speak on what it's like to handle the stigma against service dogs. Competing in the pageant not only taught me, but everyone around me, that just because you're disabled doesn't mean you can't achieve your goals. It just means there will be added obstacles that others around you might not face. But that doesn't mean it's impossible.
You had zero experience in pageants, right?
Yes.
And you went in a little bit unprepared.
That's kind of an understatement. I had no idea what I was doing.
And you say the competitors thought you had an extra advantage with having a dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your response to that?
It wasn't just the competitors. I was getting messages, DMs, calls, even letters to my house of people telling me I cheated or that I used my dog to win. And it was really disheartening because people didn't realize that I need my dog to survive, not to win. People didn't notice that he is really my medicine and my medical device. And that's really why I took the time to start explaining to the world what service dogs can do.
Brady is trained to really detect chemical changes in you that signal an impending seizure, right?
Yes.
And how long did it take Brady to learn all of this?
So he alerted of his first seizure at 4 months old, but it didn't come as trained until he was about 1.5 years to a year. And now that he's older and more grown, he is 3 years old, it comes pretty naturally to him. He can alert of a seizure about 40 minutes before it happens, but he can also alert of like the triggers of a seizure being blood sugar, heart rate, stress levels, and he can alert of those pretty much instantly as soon as he detects it.
Really? And that allows you to do what?
It allows me to take action before the seizure comes on. So if my blood sugar drops too low, he can run to my bag and grab a granola bar out of it so that I can raise my blood sugar back up, and that'll prevent a seizure from coming on.
You came to the realization that very few people actually know what epilepsy is. What do you want people to know about it?
Epilepsy is not what you see on TV. There's over 50 types of seizures, and they're not always just on the ground convulsing like you see in movies. And it came as a shock to me to find out that people would be worried about me with the lights because they thought that was the only seizure trigger, when in reality, that only affects 7% of epileptics.
Right.
Most epileptics have other triggers, me included. So people didn't realize that I'm not going to be on the ground convulsing when I have a seizure. Mine are usually just staring off into space, and I have memory loss after it, or migraines, or partial blindness. But people don't know that because they're not educated on it.
Right. And so you're working to change that.
Yes.
And you are. I mean, look at all of the attention you've brought to this. I did clinical psychology and medical psychology as well, and my specialty was within brain and central nervous system. And working with people about epilepsy, I found a lot of people experiencing epilepsy that didn't even know that's what was going on with them.
Yes.
They had it and didn't know it. And so they couldn't do anything to try to control the seizures or to mitigate the seizures. And a lot of them would continue to do things they shouldn't be doing.
Yes.
Because they didn't realize what was happening to them. So even people that have it don't know it.
I went the first 16 years of my life without realizing I had it. I was born with it, but it wasn't until a psychiatrist actually noticed that I was seizing while I was in her office. For 16 years, I was told I was anxious.
Yeah.
So I was treated for anxiety medicines, I was treated with yoga and all of the different holistic approaches, but none of it seemed to work, when in reality, we were treating something that wasn't there. It was really just epilepsy.
Thank you for coming. Thanks for bringing the pup.
Of course.
Coming up, a 16-year-old girl who made a gift bag that's good for mental health. She'll explain that next. Tonight, I'm talking with young people who are making a difference. Now, Aubriana is 16, but after conquering her own battle with self-harm and thoughts of suicide, she made it her mission to help other teens do the same.
Self-harm for me started at the age of 11. I just moved to Vermont. I had no friends. I ended up getting severely bullied to the point where I was cutting on my arms, and I had thoughts of suicide, which would start years of counseling. 2024, at the age of 16, I'm proud to say that I'm 2 years clean of self-harm. I started the Orange Ribbon Project to spread awareness. As someone who struggled with self-harm, I'm like, okay, I know the techniques, I know what to look for. Why don't I use that experience and that knowledge for good? We give trigger bags, which have anxiety techniques, but it also has information to professional help that the person can reach to at any time. I've been in pageants since I was a baby. My most recent pageant was for Miss Vermont 2024. I ended up getting first runner-up, which was amazing. I am very thankful for Miss Vermont because it did allow me to have a larger voice, because what I'm doing works.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for doing what you're doing. You've created these trigger bags, and tell me about this.
So the trigger bags are honestly my joy to give out, because it's the whole reason why kids come up to come talk about self-harm in general, because just how cool they look. Seeing something that's simple as like a keychain stuffy, something that would fit on your backpack, purse, or whatever, can help with so much anxiety, depression, or just thoughts in general. Can just help make your day from I don't want to be here to I'm having a lovely day. I am in a lovely environment and I'm ready to stay here.
Yeah. Now, when you did this, you also had to kind of be transparent about why you were doing it and what your history had been, what you were wrestling with and struggling with. Was that difficult for you?
I'm kind of like a bit of an oversharer, as my mother tends to say. But I was noticing friends and classmates of mine just kind of like seeing the cut lines, the signs of like always tugging down your sleeve to make sure no one sees, like little stuff that you can pick up. It's something that adults usually don't tend to notice unless they have dealt through it themselves. So knowing that okay, teachers aren't paying attention to this, counselors aren't doing anything. So I'm like, as a teenager and where this is something that is a disease among teenagers, I'm like, I have a voice and I'm ready to use it.
Yeah, and that's so great. And you have a lot of things in here. You have a place for people to write things down because you think that's important, right?
Absolutely.
Tell us about this one.
So the stuffed animals, I've had some people are like, that doesn't do anything. I'm like, oh, it changes everything. So I actually ended up getting diagnosed with severe anxiety, which just made my panic attacks way a lot worse. And what always seemed to calm me down was having something soft. So like a warm blanket or having a teddy bear just to squeeze. And sometimes, depending on the building you're in, you're not able to bring those with you. So having something that's very small, you're able to bring it everywhere because it may be on a bag, backpack, even on a belt loop. It works perfect.
And how did people respond to this at first?
I got a lot of, especially from the older generation of, oh, self-harm, that's not a real thing. That's just what teenagers do to get attention. And having to tell them my own story that I wasn't telling anyone that I was self-harming. It wasn't for intention purpose. It was because I solely in my mind thought I deserved the pain or it was an escape.
How have they responded?
I get negative and positive. Positive is so wide among all age groups. I had one woman break down in tears at my stand in December of 2023 because her daughter 2 years ago had passed away because she was self-harming. No one knew, and she decided to take her own life. So seeing something in the town where now it's finally being talked about just brought her so much joy. I've met over, I want to say, 120 people who have self-harm coming out to me saying, hey, I struggle with this. What do I do? I had one guy say, hey, I'm 3 years recovered. I know what you're doing, and I applaud you for it. Mm-hmm. And he started sharing with that. He's been noticing how some of his friends are starting to struggle with it and what he can do as someone who is supporting. And it's helping you to do something about it because you're 2 years without any activity at all, right? Yep. Well, and I think the important thing to think about is you start from a blank slate and come up with something that makes a difference. And that's what I applaud you for, is having the initiative and the creative to do something that gets people thinking about it, talking about it, and something to use in those critical moments. And I applaud you for that. I hope you keep up doing it. Thank you so much. All right, coming up, a 6-year-old, so intelligent, he's one of the youngest members of Mensa. Next. Tonight, we're talking about the best of the next generation. And at just 6 years old, Chandler is one of the youngest members of the High IQ Society, Mensa, and already planning on a career in medicine.
Hi, Dr. Phil. My name is Chandler, and I'm a genius.
Chandler started reading when he was 1 year and 9 months old. There was this little book that I always would read to him.
It is a last but of toes.
He started pointing and reading it.
When I started school, it was one of my best days of my life.
For the IQ test, he got a 132.
We decided to test him for Mensa because
I knew he had the academic ability to get in. He just needed to go through the proper procedures in order for it to be official.
Take a deep breath in and a cough. I want to be a medical doctor because I want to help people when they're sick.
My hopes for my son is to have a meaningful life doing what he enjoys, not what he has to do.
Yeah, Chandler will probably be in college in a couple of years. I had the honor of going back myself recently to give a commencement speech to graduates of the education program at Pepperdine University. You are entering a world in which you stand to have more influence and impact than has been the case for many generations. As someone who has been down this path ahead of you for the last 50 years, I know the rate at which the world is changing, and you will have to possess more than your excellent Pepperdine education to survive and thrive and have the impact of which I speak. You must commit to being a critical thinker and not a blind follower. We have way too many blind followers in this world right now. We need critical thinkers. Research tells us today the majority of people are afraid to voice their opinion or even ask questions. And I would much rather have questions I can't answer than answers I can't question. I have found success leaves clues. Success does not happen by mistake or randomly. There is a formula, and the good news is it is replicable. You can repeat that. We can adopt it, embrace it, and repeat it to create the results we want. You can have the courage as the class of 2024 to buck the trend of being intimidated to speak up and ask questions. You have worked hard. You have earned the right to ask questions. You have earned the right to take a leadership role. My final thoughts after the break. You know, there was one thing that was consistent among every one of these amazing young people that we just met. Every one of them were action-oriented, right? Think about that. Every one of them were doing something in the world. It's really about taking action towards some known outcome. If you decide what I want, the objective I have is out there, and I want that, then they take action towards that. And I promise you, nothing great ever will happen to you on the screen of your telephone. Nothing great will ever happen to you when you're looking here on your iPad, your computer, your phone, that two-dimensional. Great things only happen in the world. They only happen when you engage the world, when you interact with the world, when you touch other people, you touch their lives, you share your knowledge, you inspire what they do. And I really hope that these people inspire every young person that's watching this. And I tell you, if this is a sample of who we're turning the world over to, I'm going to sleep a whole lot better tonight than if we're turning it over to some of those people that are quiet quitters and all of these different things that we hear about and talk about that are negative. And I just thought it was really important to acknowledge that there are a lot of young people out there that do have courage, do have heart, do have amazing minds, and are willing to do something about it. We talk about the younger generation sometimes as though we have nothing to do with it. We have nothing to do with who they have become. Of course we do. And we need to lift up and applaud those that are getting it right and doing something to make a huge difference in this country. I just think all of you guys are absolute inspirations. Thank you for taking the time to come here. Thanks for sharing your story. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Hey, music fans, there are some great concerts headed this way. Don't miss out on all these shows in Atlanta. Zac Brown Band at State Farm Arena. Zac Brown Band at State Farm Arena. And Gospel at Atlanta Symphony Hall. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Head to LiveNation.com to get your tickets now. That's LiveNation.com.
The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Mima and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta holiday market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.